My wife, the woman I had trusted more than anyone else, looked me straight in the eyes, her voice unsettlingly calm. "I'm done hiding," she said, gently swirling her wine as if she were commenting on the weather. "I have someone now, a real man, and he'll be staying here with me. Sometimes he'll even spend the night. You'll just have to get used to it." I didn't respond the way she expected. There was no yelling, no shattered glass, no desperate pleading. Instead, I smiled slowly and steadily, then answered in a voice so quiet it seemed to cool the room. "I doubt he'll be much use to you. The most important part of him is already useless." Sitting at the table, I took another slow sip of my coffee, giving her time to puzzle over my words. She leaned back in her chair, her lips twisting into the same smug smile that had haunted me for months. She believed she ruled this house, the very house she had transformed into a battlefield. "I'm tired of hiding," she repeated, swirling her glass again. "He'll come here whenever I want him. That's simply how things are now." My grip tightened around the mug, but I refused to give her the outburst she was hoping for. No, I'd been preparing for this moment long before today. The late nights, the sudden change in her appearance, the way she guarded her phone like it was her last lifeline. I already knew. In fact, I had known for weeks. Instead of confronting her, I chose patience. I watched. I followed. I collected evidence. I planned every move. Now she had finally admitted everything herself. She expected a storm of rage. Instead, she was met with my calm smile and words she couldn't understand. "I think you'll find him useless," I repeated, my voice as steady as stone. "His greatest asset is already gone." For the first time, the confidence on her face cracked. "What are you talking about?" she demanded, irritation slipping through the mask she had been wearing. I leaned in slightly, lowering my voice even more. "You'll find out soon." Her eyes narrowed as she searched my face for answers, but I offered her none. I stood up, placed my mug gently on the table, and spoke one last sentence before walking out of the room. "Enjoy tonight. It's the last." Time passed, and life slowly began to feel normal again. That was the first crack in her armor. She believed she was in control. She believed she was smarter than me. That was her biggest mistake, because I was already 10 steps ahead. From the moment suspicion entered my mind, I didn't confront her. I investigated. One night I followed her and saw him with my own eyes. His name was Daniel, an arrogant parasite who slipped into my home behind my back. But Daniel wasn't nearly as smart as he thought he was. He left a trail of weaknesses everywhere he went. A criminal record, crushing debt, and, best of all, a hidden medical condition that made him far more vulnerable than Claire ever realized. That night I told her I was heading to bed early. She didn't hesitate. She freshened up her makeup, sent a quick message, and waited. I watched everything unfold through the cameras I had secretly installed weeks earlier. Daniel walked in with the confidence of a man convinced he had already won. I let them laugh. I let them get comfortable. I let them believe they were untouchable. Then I made my move. One tap was all it took. An anonymous tip I had prepared long before was sent. Minutes later, the wail of sirens pierced the silence of the night. Flashing blue and red lights filled our street. The front door burst open. Armed officers rushed inside. Daniel froze the moment the handcuffs locked around his wrists. Every bit of color drained from his face. "Daniel Carter," an officer announced. "You're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and identity theft." Claire screamed, leaping to her feet in complete disbelief. "What the hell is this?" Slowly, I walked down the stairs, each step echoing through the heavy silence. Her eyes met mine, wide with horror. "You did this," she whispered, her voice shaking. I stopped at the bottom of the staircase and looked her straight in the eyes. "Of course I did. What did you expect? That I'd sit back and let you humiliate me?" She charged toward me in blind fury, but an officer grabbed her before she could reach me. I didn't even flinch. "Careful," I said calmly. "We're still married, and when I'm done, you won't have anything left." Her confidence collapsed. The smug look vanished, replaced by fear and anger as Daniel was dragged outside, yelling that he had been framed. Her voice broke as she cried, What have you done? I folded my arms and leaned against the wall as though I had all the time in the world. What needed to be done? The rules had changed. This wasn't her game anymore. It was mine. She shook her head and fired back that I hadn't won, that Daniel would be out on bail before long. I laughed. She still didn't understand. I had spent weeks collecting everything I needed. Every record, every document, every piece of evidence connecting Daniel to his crimes. Her confident expression finally faded when I pulled out my phone, opened a file, and turned the screen toward her. "Let me show you the truth," I said. Daniel wasn't just an unfaithful man. He was rotten to the core. Fraud, identity theft, crushing mountains of debt, and worst of all, disturbing online activity involving underage girls. As I revealed the truth, piece by piece, every trace of color drained from her face. "You're lying," she whispered, but the shake in her voice gave her away. I turned the laptop toward her so there was no escaping the evidence. Screenshots, chat logs, bank records, every incriminating detail led straight back to Daniel. Leaning in, I said, "So, tell me, Claire, how do you think people will react when they discover not only your affair, but also that you welcomed him into our home, let him shake hands with our friends, and even gave him a bed under our roof? Do you really think you'll walk away from this untouched?" Her hands started trembling. "I didn't know," she stammered. "You didn't care," I fired back. "And now you'll go down with him." Before she could come up with another excuse, I added calmly, "You might want to check your bank accounts." Her eyebrows pulled together in confusion. "What are you talking about?" "They're empty." Her head jerked up. "What?" I gave her a slow, deliberate nod. "Remember our joint savings? The one you thought I had ignored? I'd been watching every single penny you wasted on him. Every dinner, every hotel stay, every small gift. And every time, I quietly moved money out of reach. Today, after filing for divorce, I made sure you would be left with nothing." Panic washed over her face as she quickly grabbed her phone. When the banking app opened, her worst fear was confirmed by what she saw. "You're lying," she croaked. "See for yourself," I replied, calmly. Her silence revealed everything. Then I delivered the final blow. "The house is mine. You signed a prenup, remember? You don't walk away with a cent." Desperation spread across her face. "You bastard! You can't do this." I stepped closer, my voice quiet and steady. "It's already done." Tears rolled down the face that once carried arrogance like a crown. She had no money, no place to live, and soon, no reputation left. I glanced at my watch and stood tall. "I'd love to stay and watch you fall apart, but I have better things to do. You, however, have less than 24 hours before your world comes crashing down." Her voice trembled. "What do you mean?" I smiled. "You're about to become very popular." And at that exact moment, her phone buzzed. Once, twice, and then a flood of notifications appeared. Message after message filled the screen. Her breath caught as she opened them. Screenshots of her affair were spreading like wildfire. Daniel's criminal record was making its way through everyone's hands. Even that smug little open marriage agreement she once mocked me with was being shared everywhere, turning her into the town's biggest joke. "You did this," she whispered, her voice breaking. I didn't deny it. "Not just your friends, your colleagues, your family, even your precious yoga group. They all know now. You'll be the center of every conversation and every whisper in this town." I left her there, drowning in the destruction she had created. I didn't bother looking back. By the next morning, she wasn't just embarrassed. She had become a walking scandal. Documents, screenshots, and proof of every secret she thought she had buried were everywhere. Friends walked away from her. Family cut ties. Coworkers couldn't even look her in the eyes. Her company fired her. They wanted nothing to do with the chaos surrounding her. As for Daniel, his bail request was immediately denied. Judges don't show sympathy toward predators. The divorce papers went through without any trouble. She had 30 days to leave my house. I, meanwhile, was finally free. That night, she called. Her voice was filled with desperation, She begged, pleaded, and cried, saying she had nowhere left to go. I listened and let her sit in the reality of her own helplessness for a moment. Then I said coldly, "Not my problem." And I hung up. The messages kept coming afterward, one after another, but I ignored them all. She had chosen her path. Now she had to live with the consequences. By the end of the week, she appeared at my doorstep. Her hair was messy, her makeup was smeared, and her eyes were swollen from crying. She looked nothing like the confident, arrogant woman who once enjoyed watching me suffer. "Please," she choked out, her voice broken. "I have no one left." I looked at her carefully. This was the same person who once believed she was untouchable, now standing completely shattered. I gave her a cold smile. "So where's your perfect soulmate now?" Her lips trembled. "He's gone? He won't answer me." I let out a quiet chuckle. "Yeah, neither will I." With that, I closed the door in her face for the final time. She collapsed on my porch, crying into the darkness of the night. But it didn't matter anymore. She was finished. And for the first time in years, I finally felt